So we're starting our new unit today, which is Managing Resources in Health and Social Care. Now, there are 4 learning outcomes on here. So I'll just go through the learning outcomes and then we'll start on the one that we're doing. So learning outcome 1 is be able to reflect on your own management skills. Learning outcome 2, understand key aspects of managing others in the workplace. Learning outcome 3, understand the regulation and inspection of health and social care services. And then the last one, number 4, understand the management of financial resources. So in other words, you're just going to be looking at who you are to start off, how you do management yourself and how you could do it, and then just working towards how you'd manage colleagues, finances, and health and safety. So for learning outcome 1, 1.1 is describe the role of management of yourself. 1.2 is evaluate your own time management. And then 1.3 is explain how to manage your own emotions. And again, there's bits in here that will apply to you and there's bits that won't apply to you. But it's just a generic, just generalization of how to do things. So the aim of this particular unit is for you to understand the fundamentals of self and team management, as well as organizational resources, how they can be managed, and especially managed in respect to the regulations, inspections, and finances that you'll be looking at in a management role. So I know you know what reflection is. You're very good at this with your previous assignments as well. But again, just to have a recap, what is reflection? So it's just a process that helps you to gain insight onto your own practice. It helps you to develop how you think, how you look back. So you'll have done a task and you'll look back and you'll see, oh, this went well, this didn't go well. What can I do to change it? What can I do to improve it? And it helps you to improve yourself, your services, and develop yourself as well. So 1.1, describe the role of management of self. Now, it's a very strangely worded question, but it's just describe your own management on here. So for self-management skills, what will happen is your own self-management skills will help you to maximize your own productivity. It really does help you to improve your own workplace performance, and it helps you achieve your own professional goals. So you'll have a set of tricks and techniques. So even when you're sitting down for a lesson or you're sitting down to do your assignments, you've probably got a certain way that you like to do things, a certain area. You might like it to be quiet. You might like your desk or table area to be set up in a particular way. So these things also do help you with that. You'll be improving your self-management skills, and this will help you to increase your employability and also to manage your career path. So these tips and bits that I'm going to go over are quite useful in a lot of different aspects of life. So what are self-management skills? Now, self-management skills are just the abilities that let people control their thoughts, their feelings, and actions. Now, sometimes you might be in a situation where maybe you're at work in a management position and you see something that you don't quite agree with, you're not happy with the way things are being dealt with, but rather than going out and on a big screaming match, you'll learn how to manage your own thoughts, your own feelings. You'll be able to control your own actions as well. So you think, right, this might not be the best way for me to manage this. I'll have to look at it in a different skill. So if you've got strong management skills, you can set goals independently and then take the initiative to achieve them as well. And then they'll be quite purposeful as well. So it'll help you to set what sort of career you're looking for, what opportunities you want. So the little steps you want to get closer to your own goals. Now, are you okay with that, Lee?
Yeah. It is. I mean, I love this. When I look at what you just said, then it's pure stuff that's coming into my head. Like, you know, how can we control like who we are when we've all got different emotions? Our mindset in that moment could be different from the mindset yesterday. Our genetics of who we are, our feelings, what we've been through in life, experiences, all this comes into play to how you actually act in that moment. So, you know, if someone say, I don't know, say a cat's bit them on the arm, they might be scared of cats, so there might be a cat somewhere, and do you know what I mean? So oh, it's only a cat, but to that other person, that cat might, oh, I'm scared of cats, it bit me, you know what I mean? So, when I look at that, and, well, so it's like, I don't know, the best, a good example that I could use is footballers. So footballers play football every week. They're getting paid a lot of money to kick a ball on the field. But yeah, if they could control how they played, then they'd be playing to the best of their ability every single week and scoring 4 goals, 5 goals every single week. You know what I mean? But based on how they're feeling that week, based on, you know, what's gone on that week, where the head's at, it depends on the actions that then we produce in that moment. So when it comes to stuff like controlling how we are, you know, can we control how we are, or is it already inbuilt in us in how we should act? You know what I mean? And it's just because we can't change who we are or progress if we don't go through things first. So while we're meant to go through things in life, the things that we go through in order to progress, in order to learn, to overcome, or to get better at dealing with them situations.
It's the same as, think about if you wake up and you've got a bad back or a headache or something else. You know, you wake up and you might be a bit grumpy, and you know you probably end up snapping at someone, won't you? But then on the opposite side, if you wake up and you've had a great rest and you know you've had the best sleep ever, it'll put you in a good mood. So you're right, your own mood, the way you're feeling that day, what things are going on, it really does affect you, and all of this will be, especially when you're in like a management role, is to sort of like try and put those feelings aside, and when you're at work you've got to be acting in a certain way. And yeah, so I completely agree with what you're saying on there.
Wouldn't that make you false? Wouldn't that make you a false person? Because then you're putting a mask on, because you might be having a horrible day, but then just for the sake of everyone else, you're having to put like, you know what I mean? And then you're giving that false, like, you know.
Yeah, I understand that. When I used to work in a school environment, sometimes I'd have a great day. Sometimes I'd be worried about, say, one of my children might have been acting out, or maybe I was worried about bills or something. But when you go in, I always think of it as like a certain level of professionalism. So you go in and you go and do your work that day. You're not going to want to transfer all of your ill feelings onto everybody else. You might be worried and you might want to have a chat with someone, but like just keeping it, you know, having that close person there to speak to is fine, but then making sure that whatever your issues are not sort of passing on to everybody else or affecting your work. So in that type of way, so rather than being false in a way, like being all happy dappy and going woo, you know, all the time, be realistic but also be professional, so you can show that you're not feeling great but keep it in a professional way.
That's what I'm like in here, though. Like, you know, to say I'm having a bad day and someone wants to talk, I'll say, you know what, I'm having a bit of a bad day, you know, but I've still got time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's how it should be.
Yeah. I think it takes a good personality for someone to say, right, I am in a bit of a mood right now, and just, you know, pre-warn someone and just say, but yeah, I'm going to put that aside and I'm going to talk to you and let's see, you know, see if I can help you out, and maybe it'll cheer you up as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got examples of self-management skills that I'm going to go over on the couple of the next few slides. So you've got organization. So if you're well organized, you can plan, you can prioritize, and you can execute your important activities. It'll help you to self-manage, and it'll also keep you, you know, the responsibilities that you've got, you'll keep on top of them as well. Now, sometimes, no matter what happens, you can be the most organized person and you'll be able to say, all right, I'm going to do this, that, and the other. And some things can get in the way. But as long as you're keeping yourself to a good standard of organization, you might fall back sometimes, but you'll know that you can catch up easily. Goal setting. So set goals and make sure that they're clear and well defined so you know exactly what you want to do. So don't do unrealistic or unclear goals where you say, for example, if somebody wants to lose weight, you say, oh, I'm going to lose 5 stone, and then there's no target, there's no a deadline is there. That you're not saying I'm going to lose a pound a week or anything like that. You're not setting yourself up realistically. You're putting yourself down to fail because you've not really thought about it. So make sure that they're clear and they're defined so you know exactly what you're going to do and try and create an action plan to do it. Time management. So when you're managing your time, it helps you to prioritize your tasks, avoid any distractions, and then also to maintain focus. Now, my time management skills are normally fantastic on these, but now that I know that some things can get in the way, I work from home. So I know now that my children are at home for summer holidays, my time management has just been down the gutter because you're trying to multitask and do so many different things. So sometimes, even when you're fantastic at one thing, it can have a downfall on that as well.
Yeah.
The self-motivation. So make sure that you're motivating yourself. Take the initiative, finish your tasks, and just say that, right, these are my tasks for the day. I'm going to finish this set of tasks before lunch and that after that, and then I can go and have a nice break, or I can go and enjoy my evening out. Stress management. So stress can happen for anything. Sometimes if you feel that you've got too much work to do, or you've not got enough time to do it, or you're maybe getting pulled in lots of different directions. Now there's lots of ways to do stress management. Now make sure you got a healthy diet. Sometimes you think, oh, if I go out for that 10-minute run, it's going to stop me from doing other work, but it'll release nice chemicals and hormones in your body, and it will help you to, engage and relax a little bit more. Things like what you do at the moment as well, like meditation, that really helps to clear your mind.
Love it.
And then I like journaling, putting down my experiences, writing down once in a while, every few months or something, that what the big milestones that have been happening in my life with my children and my husband and all those. So that helps, put things into perspective for me. So there's a lot of different skills, aren't there?
Yeah, there is, yeah. Especially when it comes to stress. And I was thinking about the time management one again, time. But there's certain things in time management. I mean, getting to work on time, time management. You have to be at work on time because that's just part and parcel of life. Things might have to get done on time, but you're not going to start setting your day off thinking, well, at 10:27, I'm going to go in the kitchen, I'm going to make a brew for 10:28. At 10:29, I'm going to get a spoon and stir it, and then I'm going to drink it in 3 minutes and then get back to work, because it's not going to work.
It's not possible. I mean, the only time I've really had to just stick to a strict schedule for time management is when I used to be in face-to-face lessons, and I knew I had 1 hour and I have to go and do these things. So in that, I'd have like 10, 15 different targets or little sections I had to do, and then for that I had to stick minute by minute with that. 5 minutes on this, 10 minutes on that, on this. But because that was a very focused, strict sort of environment that I was in then. But besides that, I've never had that minute by minute thing that you're saying on this. So realistically, it's time management is quite loose as long as you're getting your tasks done that you want to get done, and getting to work on time and those things. That's the more of the scope that you can talk about. So we've got accountability. So just taking ownership of your own thoughts and your own actions. And again, we don't always have the greatest moods. We're not always happy-go-lucky and smiley every single day. We can feel bad, we can feel good, but just being accountable and knowing exactly how you're feeling, what your thoughts are, what your actions are, taking the responsibility, and just making sure that when you do go in and you're conversing with your colleagues, or especially with your people that work under you or be part of your team, that you speak to them in a way that will be proactive, and it will help them to work better as well. So that's some skills from there, and then we've got some how to improve your own self-management skills. So these are just a couple of, there's only 3 slides on this. So assess your strengths, look at what you're good at, look at what you're not so great at, but then focus on the abilities that you can do. And then you'll also be able to look at what your weaknesses are and maybe address those as well. Prioritize your responsibilities. So look at what your responsibilities are, which ones are most important, focus your attention on those and get those jobs done. Now, I know that I've got 3 lessons today. You're my first lesson. I've got a lesson a couple of hours later, then a couple of hours later than that. Those are my priorities. Make sure that I turn up to my lessons on time. In between, I'll make sure that I mark my work, and in between that, I'll make sure after I've marked the work that my students have sent me, then I'll focus on creating new plans or whatever else I need to do. So look at which is your most important one that you have to get to, because if you turn up to the lesson and I don't and I'm late, then it's not good, is it? So prioritize.
Yes.
And then when I'm on lesson with you, my phone's on silent, it's away from me. I don't want to see it flashing. I don't want to see anything ringing. So there's been odd times where I've forgotten to turn it on silent, and it is distracting. So now I know, keep it away from you, so I'm not distracting myself or doodling or doing silly things while I'm trying to talk to you.
Yeah.
So develop organizational systems. So find a good system that suits you and work towards it. And to be honest, I've gone through so many different systems unconsciously. I don't really sit there and think, oh, what's the best organization system for me? I don't. What the best thing that works for me is I've got a post-it, big pad of post-it notes next to me, and things that come in that I know that I've got to focus on. In the morning, I'll have a look at what my tasks are for the day, and I'll just write them down and then tick off as I go along. Anything that I've not managed to do that day, I'll make sure that I get it done the next morning. So that works for me. Some other people probably have got really great, fantastic organizational skills where they've got calendars and diaries and all that. But I find it too hard to keep up with things like that. So set something that works for you. Create strict deadlines. So make sure that you have a deadline for each stage of your project. So if you're carrying out a project, if you're doing a task that you know that needs to be done by a certain date, make sure that is done. Maintain your schedule. Make sure that you're actually following through and that you're not rushing at the end to try and get things done. And then perform one task at a time. So sometimes what we think is, if we've got a lot of things to do, we'll think, oh, okay, I'll send this email and I'll make these notes and I'll do this phone call all at the same time. But when you do these 2 to 3 things all at the same time, you lose your focus. Now, I've had it where I've been talking to somebody on the phone and I've been trying to take notes. I'll have that other person speaking to me and saying, hello, are you there? It's because I got so focused in putting my notes down that I've forgotten that I'm speaking to them. So it really does distract you. So I find if you focus on one thing at a time, you'll actually get it done a lot quicker. You'll do your phone call in a few minutes, you'll make your notes a few minutes later, and then your email will take a few minutes. So rather than spending half an hour faffing about, you've probably got everything done within 15 minutes. And this is an important one as well. Take care of your health and wellness. So make sure you get a proper diet, exercise regularly, look after your personal hygiene, and all of these will help you to lower your stress levels. Now, when I sit at my desk at home, sometimes I forget to get up. I'll be here 3-4 hours, and then I'll stand up and I'll be all, creaky and sore and achy. It is because realistically, every 45 minutes, I should get up and have a walk around. I mean, that's what the recommended thing is. So it is important that you do take that 5-minute, 10-minute break, have a bit of a walk around, stretch your legs out, go for a run, or even have a little jog. Whatever you can do, run up and down the stairs 5 times even. It does make a difference.
Yeah.
And it's something I really need to focus on because these are things that I forget to do.
I think we all do, don't we?
Oh, serious, yeah. It's when you get busy and you think, I don't have time for this. Do I really want to get on? I've got a running machine like not even 2 meters away from me, and I could get on there, but you think, oh, I don't have time for this.
I've got a thingy. I got, you know, the other day. It's like a stringy thing. It's like a resistance band,
Oh yeah.
and you put it in the door. It's like got this thing on it, and you trap it in the top of the door or the bottom of the door, and it's just like doing weights. So it's got like handles on it. So you're talking like probably about 7.5 key or something, 5 key,
Yeah.
10 key. Depends what the resistance on the band is. But the harder the resistance, the more weight it's like you're actually doing. You can actually do a workout like you're in the gym, lifting weights just off this one band.
So do you sort of like pull them with your arms or your legs and sort of like move yourself forward? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like you're doing arm curls. You can do shoulders. You can do back. You can do everything that you do in the gym with dumbbells, but on this resistance band. It's absolutely amazing.
Quite good, you know.
Tone up at the same time as well. It's good.
If I tried pulling something like that, I'd be sore the next day. So you can evaluate your progresses as well. So just evaluate it, look at it, be objective. Sometimes when we look at our own work, we think, oh, we've done most fantastic. Or we can be on the negative side of, no, this is terrible, and you know. But just look at your work as if you're looking at someone else's work. Look at the progress you've made. Look at the goals that you've set. You know, I mean, with yourself, Lee, as well, you know, if you look at all the goals and the targets that you've met and you've set, I remember when you first started this course and you were quite wary about, you know, you weren't 100% sure if this is the right path for you to go down or not. And then look at it now, you're on your second to last unit now. So these little goals and progressions that you've made through this course itself, that's one of your targets that you set checkpoints and you're working through them. And there'll be other things that you would have set for yourself, like after this I want to do this, that and the other. You've got a whole load of, you know, targets that you've put for yourself. So look at what you're doing, look at what you've also done so far, and then just evaluate your progress and see what your accomplishments are, see what you've met, see what you've still got to do, and then work towards that. And then in general, just to summarize it up, you've got to carry out a reflection. So for this, when you're looking at your own management, you've got to carry out a reflection on these points here. So look at your current skills, look at your efficiency, how efficient are you, and then look at your effectiveness. So the work that you're doing, the tasks and the goals that you set, how effective are they to get you towards what you're trying to do? So do you have anything to add or want to ask for 1.1?
Just to be brief, very brief. Targets, like, you know, targets, there has to be your targets, not someone else's targets, because we're all different. So if I was to put targets in place, for me, they'd be my targets, because my targets might not necessarily mean, you know, someone else can reach them targets and vice versa, because we're all made and built different. So when it comes to targets, it has to, I personally believe that, you know, only we can set our own targets. No one else can really set them targets for us, because they're made and built different from us. So they'll be able to progress in areas that other people can't, and vice versa. When it comes to like just a recap on what was just said, you're absolutely spot on about, you know, problems in work and stuff like that. I mean, in here, we're like one big family. So, you know, when we're having a bad day, I can say to one of the other residents, I just want to be left alone. Just leave me alone. I'll be out in an hour, or, yeah, I'm having a bit of a bad day, but yeah, I'll still sit and talk and blah, 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 blah. But in work, it's different. In work, it's totally different. But even though it's totally different, you know, it doesn't mean that you put like that mask on. It's, you know, it's because you're there for them. You're leading by example, so you're a leader. So what problems are going on in your life, no one else really needs to be concerned in that, because once you start to, you know, crumble, or once you start to go downhill, or once you start to feel a bit depressed or a bit low, then you're not setting an example to the rest of the team, and you're not setting an example to the people that you're looking after either, because things have a knock-on effect.
Exactly. Yeah. No, you're completely right on this. Yeah.
Yeah. You just sometimes you just have to, put in, and because no one needs to know anything, do they?
Well, exactly. And your own
Work,
personal
so
business that way you don't really need
yeah.
to as well. So let's go on to 1.2. So evaluate your own time management. So we know time management is where we're just planning or, trying to control a certain amount of time that we spend on activities. Now, when it comes to time management on here, we're more talking about the time management of the physical activities that you've got to do within your work environment. So if you've got a service user to go and see, or if you've got to go and give someone training, or if you've got a meeting and you've only got 1 hour for the meeting, you don't want that meeting to run over to an hour and a half or 2 hours. So that's the type of time management that we want to look at. Just things that will help you to, focus how much time you spend on these activities and how to increase your effectiveness, your efficiency, and your productivity. So I've got some skills and strategies over the next few slides to share with you. So time management activities, make a plan. Allocate your time. Say that I've got, for example, if you know that you're going to have a lunch break and you know that you've got 45 minutes, don't go over 45 minutes for your lunch break. If you've got a meeting, keep it to an hour. Make sure that you've got all of that sorted out. Set some goals. So you might want to do like simple goals, like at the beginning of the day, where I've set a goal. I knew before I came onto lesson with you, Lee, that I was going to mark a piece of work that I've not had a look at yet. So I did that. Then with you now, after I'm finished with you, I'm going to mark some other pieces of work, including your corrections that I've got. So, and then I'll do a couple more lessons. So I've set goals. I know exactly what sort of layout I've got for my day today. And it'll be the same with you when you're having certain activities that you're doing during the day. You might not set up a goal like, say, I'm going to go and work in the kitchens today at 9 a.m. or I'm going to go and speak to X, Y, and Z at 1:03 p.m. It might not be in that type of way, but you might have a loose idea of what sort of things you're setting for the day, what targets you've got. In management, you've got to make sure you delegate as well. So within this, make sure if you've got a list of activities or tasks that you need to do, and it's not possible for one person to get through 20 million things in a day. So use your team members, give them some of your tasks, share your responsibility with them and say, I'll do these parts, you do this, and you do that. Analyze what you're doing, monitor what you're doing, keep an eye on it, make sure that you're not going over or under time, or if you could save time, in other words, organize your day, and then make sure you create a schedule and prioritize what you're going to do. And that really probably will take place when you're planning, so you make a plan and you're scheduling and prioritizing what's important, what needs to be done first. And if I don't get to do all of these things I want to do today, what can I push over to tomorrow? That's not so important. So are you okay on that part?
Yeah. Just a plan in it. Make a plan. Nothing. So sometimes things don't always go to plan, though. So
No.
yeah, you have to, to take that as it comes. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
So this weekend I knew I was going to be at home. The weather was not the greatest, and I thought, oh, okay, I'm going to sit down. My children had their clubs and activities that I'd finished, and I thought, right, I'm going to do 2 hours of work on Saturday, and I'll do another 3-4 hours on Sunday, and just get myself caught up on everything that I need to do. Nothing happened. I didn't even come and turn the computer on or do anything. It's just because things came in the way. There was some things that, even if you make the greatest plans, sometimes they can just fall apart. So all those points that we talked about, I'm just going to go over some of them on here. So we've got the importance of time management for effective management performance in organizations. So we're going to talk about improving efficiency and productivity. So for these, you need to have the right type of management skills on here because they'll make you more efficient and productive. You won't be wasting your time on silly little tasks that really you could pass on to somebody else. If there's something, if you're within your management position and you know that there is something that one of your colleagues could do very easily and quickly while they're doing their own tasks, just pass it on to them. There's no point in you running around trying to do little things when you can pass it on. So when we're working and being efficient and productive, what normally happens is we start thinking, oh, efficiency and productivity means that we have to be really fast and we have to get through every single thing like a speed train. But you don't. You don't have to do that. Being efficient and productive is actually working in a good way, making sure that you're using the right amount of time for your activities and that you're setting the realistic times for them. So if a task takes 3 hours to do and you say, I'm going to do it in 1 hour, it's not going to be possible. You're going to be stressing yourself out. I know sometimes when I'm trying to rush things, I get that gut feeling and I'm like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. So there's no point in doing those things. So being efficient and productive doesn't mean to rush your work because you'll probably end up having bad quality work then. It just means that you need to use the best time that you've been given. So if you need to have 3 hours to do one activity, set those 3 hours aside and make sure you do a good quality of work on that task and then go to the next. Sometimes some work will take a while to do because not everything can be done in the 10 minutes or an hour. Make better decisions on here. So when you're in a rush, sometimes you get pressurized to complete work. Now, when that happens is you'll make bad decisions that might not be thought out. For example, if you're going to administer medicine and you know you've got 10 minutes to go and see 10 patients, that means you've got a minute for each patient. You might rush in, you might quickly give them medication, but you might end up giving them the wrong dose, or you might give it to them at the wrong time, or they might have already had it, or maybe they actually needed a bit of a chat and a bit of, TLC at that time and you've not been able to do it. So they feel stressed and upset and it sets them on a bad day as well. So make good decisions and just see if you've only got a few minutes, either let it carry over or try and, split your tasks up. Say, I'll go and see these 4 people here, you go and see those 4, and then you're left with those 2 that are over there. So manage your time effectively. Look at what is important and even delegate if possible. If you've got someone you can share your responsibilities with, share them. You can provide better quality work. So when you're prioritizing your tasks and you're not wasting your valuable time, you can actually create a good standard, a higher standard of work because you've got more time to put on it. Because you can put all of your focus on it and you can give it all of your time and attention because I've set all those little tasks that somebody else can do. I've gone and given them to someone else. Now I can focus on this big task that is very important that needs to be done by tomorrow. Create a fair workplace. So again, you're in management now. So you've got to make sure that you're managing your time as the best way that you can, but also make sure you create a fair workplace so you know that everybody is producing good standard of work, that everybody's working in the same standard. So make sure that everybody knows what the policies and procedures of your workplace are. Make sure all the activities that you need to do and that you're sharing out, that you're actually giving them fairly across everyone. Now, what happens is we end up having one particular person that we know that whatever we give them, they're going to get on with it quietly, they're going to do it, and they'll get a good job done. But giving that one person all of those hard jobs every single day isn't fair, and letting everyone else just walk around and have lots of free time. So you've got to make sure that you do share those activities out and give everybody the opportunity to actually, show that they can do it and have those hard tasks split between them. So just 2 more points. Then you got your business reputation. So when you even if you're in healthcare, it's a business. You're still there to create a profit. You're still there to, want to get that overhead on those targets that you want to do. If you meet those targets, you're going to get more funding in. So when any type of tasks are completed in a quick and efficient manner, your business is going to develop a good reputation. Your what do you call it, your care center or whatever service center that you're doing, GPs, doctors, everyone's going to want to refer them to you and say, this center here is fantastic. They always look after their patients. They're always on time. They make sure that you get the best possible care. But if you've got a bad reputation, even GPs, they're not going to want to recommend your center. They'll probably end up recommending someone else. And then the final one in here, you can have organization revenue. So people who own businesses, they're always looking for ways to improve their bottom line, so their finances. So they know that if one member of staff spends 3 hours doing one activity, that's not effective for them. They're still paying for that person to come into work, but then they're also not having the same type of productivity because tasks are getting pushed onto other days, or other people are having to come in to do them, or they're having to hire another person to come and make sure that everything is done. So on this part, you want to make sure that you're improving your bottom line, that you're still getting your finances and it's quite effective, and that you've got a good amount of productivity and efficiency, and that you've got a good turnaround. So you can get more money in, you can get increased revenue. So after me talking for a million years, do you have any thoughts or anything to ask?
Not really. Time management is different for everyone, isn't it? I've got things, but I'll save it for the essay because it can be quite. But I understand the gist of what's been said. Basically, just use your time wisely. If you're gonna go to like we're doing an hour now, so make sure it goes to that hour, because you've got other things to do after that hour. When you go to the doctors, it's 10-minute, 15-minute slots because other patients need to be seen after you. You know what I mean? So I get what you mean in that sense of the time frame. But we should always be prepared that, like I say, nothing always goes to the plan the way we expect it to sometimes. And in them situations, we have to think on our feet.
That's 100% true. So let's go on to 1.3. So this is the last one on here. So explain how to manage your own emotions. Now, again, this is one of those that is different for everyone. So there's some parts on here that I'll agree with, and there's some parts that I think are utter rubbish. But again, it might be great for someone else. Again, so like you said, not everyone is the same, and not everybody copes in the same way as well. But on here, what we're going to look about is, can we actually manage our own emotions effectively? So there's a lot that's been written about emotions. There's so much details and information out and about. You can just put in the internet and say how to manage your own emotions, and you'll come up with lists and lists of things. Some of them will be the same, some of them will be conflicting. Now, when we're looking at emotions, some people have good control over their emotions, some people do not with this. So it's something that we're all sort of working on as we're developing whatever stage of our life we're on. So managing emotions effectively is like developing a skill or a habit. It's a way of helping you to do something better. But again, like I said, we're all different, and it's something that almost every human does struggle with, especially with change. That really does affect how you manage your emotions. So how to manage emotions. So you got to find coping mechanisms on here. So for finding coping mechanisms, you got to understand what your own emotional needs are first. So, a lot of people say, control yourself, or figure it out, or, you're too emotional. But if you don't really know why you're emotional or what the reason is, it can be difficult. So it's a good idea to try and figure out what your own emotional needs are, why are you feeling the way you feel. Try and pinpoint what it is, and then that'll help you understand why you're feeling so happy or down or upset, or why you feel like crying. What any of those things. Know what your triggers are. So when things aren't going your way, it's really easy to start feeling irritated or angry or any of those things. Like if you see a consistent mess all around you and you've been cleaning up, or if you find that somebody's voice is grating on you, or if someone's just being extremely loud and you're not in the mood to be loud. So find out what these triggers are and move yourself away from them, and then try and focus on that. Shift your focus. So if you know that you're getting triggered in a way, that somebody's being extremely loud and it's grating on you and you're getting irritated, try and move your focus away, or physically move out of the area if you can and just go somewhere else. It'll help you to calm down, and it'll help you to take a bit of a time out to just, relax and say, right, it's not as big as a deal as I thought it was. Just think things through. Make positive changes. So choose a different response. Now, this is one of those things that sometimes we've got to have that filter between brain and mouth, where we've got to, sometimes we'll think things and then we don't want that to come straight out, do we? Because they can create issues and problems, especially in a work environment. You're meant to be in a professional way. So you've got to think what you're thinking, have a bit of a filter, and then choose an appropriate response. Change your environment. So if there's a particular thing about your environment that is bothering you, if your desk chair is really uncomfortable, or if the lighting is always flickering, get them to fix the light, get a new chair in, or if there's a loose carpet on the floor that whenever you get up you're always tripping over it. So even mini changes, a better screen that you're working with, all of these things will help you to change your, have a positive change. Again, we've got be healthy. So exercise can boost your mood and also help you to decrease stress. Keeping a journal, meditating, any of these things, it'll help you to put down what your experiences are. It'll help you to think about things, and it'll help you to identify what your emotional triggers are. And then you can even think about what sort of steps you can take to, try and overcome those. And again, talking about your feelings. So not everybody is happy about talking about their feelings to other people. So if you're not comfortable about that, it's a good way to just write it down and then read it back and think, okay, I was feeling like that at that time. Let's see how I progress. Understand your emotions. So acknowledge your feelings. Deal with any sadness that you've had. Reflect on it. So if you know what your sadness is, what your feelings are, what's causing these, just think back about it. It's not a bad idea to reflect on what it was that made you so upset. Practice self-care. So make sure that your own personal needs are being met. That you're finding time to have a good amount of sleep, and that when we think of work, all we think of is work, work, work. But you do actually need to have downtime as well. You need time where you're relaxing your brain and just chilling and, caring for yourself. So having an hour set aside per day where you can watch your favorite program, meditate, go and eat something nice, something that makes you happy is good. Find a support system. So, see who there is that you trust and you can talk to, who that will not go and blab everything here and there, that can give you good guidance, and find someone or a few people that you can actually go to and that they'll support you in a non-judgmental way. And again, if there's not that system in place, counselling is good for that. Before I carry on, do you want to add anything, Lee? Are you okay?
Can I add it now instead of at the end? Because we've only got 9 minutes.
Okay, yeah.
So emotions for me and feelings, I don't believe they exist. I think it's just the state of the mind that you're in at the minute. Because there's so many, I could go into this and I could write paragraphs after paragraph after paragraph after paragraph on this. But, I could integrate heaven and hell into this as well, which I won't do. But it's you've got a family, yeah. So you've got family, and you love your family. You might not get in with a certain family, but you love your family. But what's the difference between your family and, say, your next door neighbours, or their next door neighbours, or their next door neighbours? Because we're all humans, but because they're your family, you think you've got ties to them. So then, do you know what I mean by that?
No, I understand. It's because you have that bond, don't you? And you feel like you know them, you know what the ins and outs are. And you wouldn't really necessarily go to your third neighbour and go and start talking to them about what your day is, but you might feel comfortable doing that to a brother or a sister or a wife or something instead. So it's just who you're bonded with, it really helps.
But emotions and feelings can be deceiving. And if they can be deceiving, which they can, do they really exist, or is it just our mind in that moment? Is it the mindset of how our mind is in that actual moment that something happens? You know what I mean? So it's quite a deep topic. This
it is,
very, very deep.
100%. So we're going to go on to Goldman now. So Goldman is a person who he's a researcher. He's made a theory about emotional intelligence and personal competences. So when you're answering 1.3, you need to talk about Goldman. So for Goldman, has looked at emotional competencies, and he says that they're not innate talents, but rather they are learned capabilities that must be worked on and can be developed to achieve outstanding performance. Now, this theorist, Goldman, believes that individuals are born with a general emotional intelligence, and then it determines their potential for learning emotional competencies. That you've got a basic general intelligence, and that is what leads you on to learning how to be competent emotionally. So Daniel Goleman's model was introduced in 1998, and it focuses on emotional intelligence, as we said, and it looks at different types of competencies and skills that can drive leadership performances. Now, according to Daniel Goleman's model, he says there are 5 areas that we focus on for emotional intelligence. So self-awareness, where we know what our own emotions, strengths, weaknesses are, what our drives are, what our values are, what our goals are. We'll recognize our impacts on other people as well. And then we'll look at gut feelings as well. So sometimes we'll have a gut feeling and say, yeah, this is a good route to go down. But some other times you'll have gut feelings where you think, no, this is completely wrong. I should stop doing this, or I don't want to carry on. Then you got self-regulation as a second point. So what he thinks is that you're going to manage or redirect your own disruptive emotions and impulses and adapt them to change your circumstances. So you've got your impulses, you've got your emotions, and you're trying to work on managing them, or you're trying to redirect them into a more positive way. Then you've got your social skills. So you're going to manage emotions and, other people's emotions, to be honest. And you're going to move people in the desired direction. So you've got people that have social skills, like, the guy that does Apple, and when he's out there and he's like, oh, come on, guys, come and buy my phone. I've got this, that, and the other. Salespeople have this as well, where they'll really entice you and get you excited to buy something, or advertisements and all that. So it's where you're managing other people's emotions, and you're getting them to do what you want them to do. So you're getting them all riled up and angry about someone, or you're getting them all excited about a new product and you're like, go and buy it. Or you're like, oh, come on, guys, I'm going to motivate you and let's all do a really great day of work. So it really makes a difference. I've had good managers and I've had bad managers. My good managers, I used to work in retail as well. Good managers would make me really excited to go, like, right, we've got a great day today. It's, for example, Christmas time. We're going to have so many customers coming in. Make sure you're greeting them with a smile. Make sure you're, it sets up your day. But if you get other ones that are saying, oh, it's going to be extremely busy today, it's going to be chock-a-block. I don't know how we're going to manage. Then you go in negatively, don't you? So it really helps what type of manager you've got and how they can motivate you. Then you've got empathy. So you're going to recognize, understand, and consider other people's feelings, especially when you're making decisions that might be difficult as well. So you've got to really empathize with how is what I'm saying now going to affect this person. And then motivation. So motivate yourself so that you can achieve things, so you can achieve them for the sake of achieving it. So, you can reach your goals and targets and that you can get to where you want to go to. So that was Goldman there. And we're just going to talk about stress and managing absence. So when you're answering this, you need to talk about stress and managing your absence, this little point as well. It's in the indicative content to have a recap on. So when you're looking at stress and managing any type of absences that you might physically have from work or from your environment, you got to understand and look at any triggers that might be useful for you managing your own stress. We've got a few steps in the next slide to show you as well. They'll help you to manage stress, and it'll also help you to look at any absences that you might have. So remember, you're working in a managerial position. You've got a whole lot of people that are relying on you. If you can't physically go in one day, you're feeling ill, or if you know that you've got a day off, how can you manage that? People actually work while you're off. So you've got all of these things in here. Create a to-do list. Prioritize your work. Say what is important, what is not. Delegate tasks, so share your tasks out. Make sure that everybody's got something to do. Make sure that everyone knows what the roles are. So, send some emails. Create a wall chart. Put something on the notice board so that, for example, if I'm working for you, Lee, and then I'm coming to you every 5 minutes saying, oh, I've finished this task, Lee, what can I do next? It's annoying for you because you're getting distracted as well. So have something that someone can refer to, a list, notice board, an email that you can go back to and say, oh, okay, this is my next task. I finished this now. And then again, set up tasks that can be done in your absence. If you know you're not going to be in the next day, give everybody a list of jobs that need to be doing and make sure that they're being productive while you're not there. So in total, we've looked at managing yourself, time management, and how to manage emotions today. Going to there.